Welcome again. This is the third of 3 sessions examining hope against hope, exploring the 2 principal shapes of hope expressed in the Bible, and exploring further into a deeper form of hope, a hope beyond hope. My name is Len Bowman, and I'll be your guide in this brief exploration. The topics of our 3 sessions are apocalyptic hope, cosmic hope, and hope beyond hope, a form of hope evident especially in stories of the resurrection of Jesus that is beyond either of these others. That's what we aim for tonight. In this session, we'll first set our first 2 models of hope up against each other. Then we'll take a look at how that special logic works with these models, that logic at work in the Bible and the world's scriptures, the logic of the balance of opposites. Then we'll explore what hope beyond hope might be like. Remember, the 2 main forms of hope in the Bible answer the question, what is the end like? Again, those 2 answers are apocalyptic hope, which is really a kind of expectation, and what I call cosmic hope, actually a kind of optimism. Let's briefly review the basic shapes of both these forms of hope, setting them up as a kind of debate, hope against hope. Let me first review the main elements of apocalyptic hope in the Bible, and then we'll do the same for cosmic hope. So for apocalyptic hope, all of life and history is understood as a battle of evil against good. Through oppression and suffering, the good must remain steadfast in pure faith in God. History will end in a decisive final battle and destruction of the world when good finally triumphs. Believers must not be deceived by false prophets and must avoid contamination by the evil forces of the world. Trust only in God. Do not trust human or worldly powers. And we who endure to the end will be saved. All others will be condemned or destroyed. And we saw how this apocalyptic hope shapes the attitudes of those who adhere to it. Next, let's line up the main elements of cosmic hope in a way that corresponds to those of apocalyptic hope. The universe is one. It's not divided between good and evil, spirit and matter that are in conflict with each other. Evil is a minor problem to be solved, for everything is moving together toward harmony. There's a divine plan at work in history to bring about universal human community. Believers seek unity in diversity, not uniformity or conformity. Believers regard the human world as basically good, as the kingdom already present. And believers are to help bring about the reconciliation and work toward a loving world. You can see if groups of believers adhere to only one or the other side of this duality, why the history of Christianity is such a bloody mess. But what happens if we apply our special logic of the balance of opposites to this duality? Is the end going to be conflict so that many are completely lost and condemned? Or is there to be universal reconciliation so that none, even the most vicious, will be lost and all will be transformed and redeemed? The ultimate answer to that? We don't know. So keep them balanced. Hedge your bets. Are people supposed to be firm in the faith and reject what's different, or should they be open to anything? Answer to that, maybe we better question everything, including our own beliefs, so we don't become bigots or fools. Is history headed toward catastrophe, or is there a divine force at work, bringing about universal community? We've seen belief in the former can be dangerous. Belief in the latter can lead to complacency. The answer? We don't know. So work like hell to avoid one and build toward the other without being able to count on success. Should people resist alien and worldly elements or be welcoming to whatever comes? We've seen the former stance risks bigotry and hate. The latter can fade into anything goes. So again, maybe better question everything, including ourselves. Maybe guiding our questioning by the previous pattern. Avoid catastrophe, build toward community. Should we have confidence in God alone? Or should we invest in human effort and human movements to bring about good? Answer, maybe there's something to those sayings that God helps those who help themselves, or pray like everything depends on God and work like everything depends on us. Should people look forward to being saved in some kind of heaven at the end? Or is it our task to work toward a loving world with no further expectations? Answer, we don't know what this life leads to, or where history ultimately leads. We don't even know if the linear model of history is correct. We don't know. That brings us back to that basic question. What is the end like? We don't know. An important lesson from the Gospel of Luke and Acts of the Apostles is we're not supposed to know. If we aren't supposed to know, then evidently the Bible is teaching that we don't need to know. Why? So far, our balance of opposites logic has landed us in a bog of uncertainty and compromise, hasn't it? But isn't this logic supposed to launch us beyond? Into a hope beyond hope? We're not there yet, are we? So, why don't we need to know? Because of hope beyond hope. We've got another big step to take. Let me tell you a story. It's a moving, poignant story at the end of the Gospel of John, and it's got a bit of comedy in it too. Rembrandt has captured the story and the comedy in a painting. The passage is from John chapter 20. Bear with me as I read it for you. Early on the first day of the week, while it was still dark, Mary Magdalene came to the tomb and saw that the stone had been removed from the tomb. So she ran and went to Simon Peter and the other disciple, the one whom Jesus loved, and said to them, "They've taken the Lord out of the tomb. We don't know where they've laid him." Pause a moment. Mary Magdalene had gone alone in the dark. She just wanted to mourn. She just wanted to be alone with Jesus, the dead Jesus. And he's gone. And she's confused, and she's distressed, and she's very upset. All that's coming through in the gospel. Back to the gospel. Then Peter and the other disciple set out and went toward the tomb. The two were running together. The other disciple outran Peter, reached the tomb first. He bent down to look in and saw the linen wrappings lying there, but he did not go in. Then Simon Peter came, following him, and went into the tomb. He saw the linen wrappings lying there, and the cloth that had been on Jesus' head, not lying with the linen wrappings, but rolled up in a place by itself. Then the other disciple, who reached the tomb first, also went in, and he saw and believed. For as yet they did not understand the scripture that he must rise from the dead. And then the disciples returned to their home. But Mary stood weeping outside the tomb. And as she wept, she bent over to look into the tomb, and she saw two angels in white, sitting where the body of Jesus had been lying, one at the head and the other at the feet. They said to her, "Woman, why are you weeping?" She said to them, "They've taken away my Lord. I don't know where they've laid him." And when she said this, she turned around and she saw Jesus standing there, but she did not know it was Jesus. Jesus said to her, "Woman, why are you weeping? Whom are you looking for?" Supposing him to be the gardener, she said to him, "Sir, if you have carried him away, tell me where you've laid him, and I will take him away." And Jesus said to her, "Mary." She turned and said to him in Hebrew, "Rabboni," which means teacher. And Jesus said to her, "Don't hold on to me, because I have not yet ascended to my Father. But go to my brothers and say to them, I am ascending to my Father and your Father, to my God and your God." And Mary Magdalene went and announced to the disciples, "I have seen the Lord." And she told them that he had said these things to her. Mary Magdalene shows the way into a hope beyond hope. That's quite a story. So what happened in that story? She and the disciples had thought of Jesus as Messiah. We had hoped that he was the one to redeem Israel. But the reality, Jesus lost everything. He was completely and utterly crushed and destroyed. And her expectations, completely dashed. All that was left for her was to mourn. And now even that was torn from her. Why didn't she just go away? She would not give up. Just that simple. She would not give up. Why? No reasoning behind it. No expectations. It's no secret that Mary Magdalene was in love with Jesus. She would not abandon him. So her anger came out, accusing and attacking one she thought was the gardener, until Jesus spoke her name. Her astonishment. This was beyond any possibility of expectations, beyond the wildest fantasies of optimism, beyond hope. One tragedy of the Christian tradition is the loss of astonishment at this and the reducing of resurrection to a mere expectation. Of course Jesus rose from the dead, doesn't everybody? From this revelation beyond hope, Mary was told to share what she had experienced, in effect issuing a call to hope beyond hope, and in the process becoming the first apostle, the first witness to the resurrection of Jesus. From this story, and from our examination of the two preliminary forms of hope in the Bible, we can come to this definition of hope. Hope is trust in the future. That means embracing the future as unknown, as open. That's why it's okay not to know, and why we don't need to know. This also implies trust in the future of our relationships, again, as unknown and open. Trust in the future that does not ignore risks and dangers, and so is beyond mere optimism, and does not make specific demands, and so is beyond mere expectation, so that the expression, "I hope that," is really falling short. Rather, "I hope in." Gabriel Marcel, the philosopher of hope, links hope and love by capturing the ultimate expression of relational hope as, "I hope in you for us." Hope affirms the future. It says yes to the future, beyond despair. It affirms the future in a way that transcends it reaches or even leaps beyond any particular expectations. Rest with that for a moment. Hope is trust in the future that does not ignore risks and dangers and does not make specific demands, for it affirms the future in a way that transcends particular expectations. So, my parting wish for you: hope high, expect low, be open to surprises, astonishing, wonderful surprises. Thank you.